Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Connection with Shami. And I am joined once again by my two favorite movie fanatics, Wasan and Nuan. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Hey, nice to be
uh,
back.
So, today we're going to be talking about something a little different. We're
mm,
going to be talking about some of the top movies of 2021. So these are a few of the movies that we thought really stood out to
yeah,
us. So
yeah.
all three of us have picked three movies that we thought sort of really spoke to us, really stood out, and that had that wow factor. Each one of us is going to take turns talking to you about the movies that we thought
No one go
deserve
first.
a spot in this
Okay,
list.
cool. The first movie I want to talk about was Wrath of Man. It's a bit of a revenge tale mixed in with a heist kind of a story. Jason Statham is in it. So he goes to work at this armored truck company because there's been a heist and some people got killed, and he wants to figure out who's responsible. That's all I'm going to say. And I think it's his best film since Snatch. He's really good. He's really like this really lethal character, total badass. Scott Eastwood is there, and he gives a good performance. I think it's one of his best. His character is a really unhinged kind of and I think Guy Ritchie's direction is really strong. It's a different style of film than what we are used to from Guy Ritchie, because usually his criminals are dumb and it's played for laughs, but this movie is like totally serious, and his trademark fast editing style is not there. Like, it's really different for him. Like, he's holding shots really long, like there's long takes. He lets the sequence play out. There's some really intense shootouts. Like, it's really good, some good action as well. So I didn't know that he was capable of that kind of thing. Usually his movies are much more like fun. So this
Mhm.
was like super serious. I really liked it. It really surprised me. Yeah, so that's my first pick out of our three.
Vasant, what about you?
All right. Apart from the big box office hits, one of the movies that really hit me from the singles Nobody. And Nobody is Bob Odenkirk, also known as Saul from the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul franchises. A brilliant film from start to finish. It goes on the same vibe and tone as John Wick, and John Wick is a tribute to some of the really good action movies that we used to have. The no nonsense, just no story, but just beat 'em up kind of action movies that were missing in Hollywood for a very long time. So I'm very happy that another movie is following that pattern. But unlike John Wick, nobody actually has some sense in it. Like John Wick is just shoot, 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 kill, 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 kill. You kill my dog, I'm going to take it out on you for the next four movies, or as far as this franchise is concerned. Whereas with Nobody, there is, without spoiling the movie too much, for those of you who haven't seen it, there is a lot at stake for the protagonist that Bob Odenkirk plays by the name of Hutch Manso, and it's in trying to protect what he still has. He has to do things that he's not happy about, he's not proud about, and what I love about it is it's also like John Wick. There's like a lot of stupid action sequences that wouldn't make sense in under normal circumstances, but you go with it, right? You just go with it because you feel for the character, you feel for Hutch, and you want to see, all of this come to give him some kind of closure, so that him and his family, can move forward. So that's one of the first movies. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely give it a watch. Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk amongst many others.
So I guess it's my turn. So this is a little something that I wrote in one of my reviews, but I'll just paraphrase it. So basically, one of my first picks my first pick is The Little Things. The only thing better than the movie itself is the cast. And trust me
Mhm.
when I say this star-studded cast is like the team up you didn't know you needed until you saw it. Because it's got three Oscar winners in it: Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. And if you've seen their work, you know how amazing these actors are. So
Mhm.
imagine a movie with Denzel Washington playing a cop, Rami Malek playing a detective, and Jared Leto as a little creepy, somewhat bad guy, if he is the bad guy. That's the question. So basically, this movie was like a typical throwback 90s cop movie. One of those down to the basics, gritty, true crime movies that where you get to see what it was like before fingerprint analysis came into hand, when things got easier and it was real, true, hard detective work and crime solving. So basically, we get to see Denzel Washington's character team up with Rami Malek's character, a cop who is beaten down by the world, and a detective. They team up to find a serial killer.
Mhm.
And one of the things I loved most about the movie was actually its ending. It it had one of those endings where it keeps you guessing. So you're at the end of the movie and you're like, wait, this is the end? No, no, you can't keep me like this. I need to know what happens. But that's the brilliance of the movie. You get to make up your own ending. So it's a brilliant script, I have to say. Like there is a lot of really amazing acting in it. And these three actors really gave it their all. I'm so happy that they actually were noticed for the film. So if anyone out there loves those really gritty thriller crime mysteries, I would definitely recommend this one because it's a real back to basics 90s cop movie that I think anyone would love. So it's a definite must watch. And personally, I would give it, I guess, a 7 or so. But then again, that's up to you. So yeah, that's my first one. Okay, Nuan, what about you?
Yeah, that actually sounds like something I would want to watch. Like I like detective thriller type stuff. So yeah, I'll keep that one in mind.
Ah,
So my second pick is News of the World, starring Tom Hanks. So he's a Civil War veteran who goes from town to town reading the newspaper, which I think is like this beautiful thing. You know, we are so used to getting our news all the time. We don't think about what it was like, you know, like more than 100 years ago. So he actually goes to this town, and all the townspeople, they gather in the town hall and they wait for him to read. That's beautiful, right? So he finds this orphan girl who has grown up around a Native American tribe, so she can't speak any English and he can't speak their language. So he's sort of escorting her, trying to find her family. So it's this really kind of beautiful. It's almost like like a trip movie. You know, like they're going on this journey and they're trying to learn from each other, learning how to communicate. And Tom Hanks is good as always, but I think the real surprise is the little girl. She was really good. Her name is Helena Zengo, and apparently she speaks the real Kiowa tribe language. So the Native Americans who advised the production, they apparently said that she spoke perfectly. That's how the pronunciation and everything was perfect, and apparently the film's portrayal of their culture was done really well. So that's cool, and it's an impressive production overall. Like the locations that you see, you know, these wide open spaces in America, like it's beautiful, gorgeously shot. And all the towns and all these things that, you know, it really looks like you're there. You know, I'm a big fan of Red Dead Redemption, you know, the whole Western look. and vibe to it. So if you like the westerns, you might like this movie. And it also tackles issues like racism, because it takes place almost immediately after the Civil War. So you see what people are arguing about, and you see how Native Americans were losing their land, even like environmental issues, like how animals were treated, like the buffalo being hunted. So you see, all the problems of that time. And it's got a little bit of action. I mean, it's not an action movie, but they run into some unsavory characters along the way, and so there's even a little bit of a shootout, and it's one of those old school shootouts, like, because the guns are really old. It's not, they don't have automatic weapons. So we see how they load the weapons, and it really takes you to that time period. And it was done really well. And you really see the relationship, the bond between these two grow, kind of like Logan in a way. So it was really good, well-made film. And I think the director was Paul Greengrass, who directed the Bond films.
Yes,
so
yes.
really well done movie. Yeah.
Okay, I need to watch that, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Yes, about that.
Yeah, Vasant.
Yes. So my next pick is something along the lines of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and many others. And this is actually based on an actual account from, an historical account. And it's called The Courier. And it stars Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't know.
Cucumber Patch. You're not supposed to say his actual name.
Exactly. I mean, we'll probably get cursed or worse from his. I can't remember what the fans are called. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon who found out that there's a whole. They called.
I know what the name
the
is, but you can't say it. Don't say it.
At the risk of not getting cursed by them, I'll just Benedict C, that we all know as Doctor Strange. Well, it's a lovely movie, and basically, if you're into spy thriller movies and historical films, so this is definitely one of those. So he plays a businessman, a British businessman, Greville Wynn, who basically is a very unassuming, ordinary businessman, does a really good job, and he's suddenly lured into the world of spydom back in the Cold War by none other than Rachel Brosnan, the character she plays, the CIA operative. And so both the MI6 and CIA basically push or force him to be this, because he has really good, he is doing really well with, going across the border, and has some really good contacts. So they want to harness him and those contacts so that they can, get him to get into a really very powerful and dangerous partnership with a Soviet KGB officer played by Oleg Penkovsky. Thing is, you find out, again, without spoiling the movie too much, you find out that Oleg is actually one of those people who wants to, get out of, the communist Europe and get into, wants to basically get out of the border and defect. And the way you see Benedict's character, take a twist from being this really suave, cool, but honest businessman to have to twist his whole, demeanor and everything else because of the pressure he's facing. It's crazy. That's what this movie is all about. And, it gives you a real account of how things were back during the Cold War. We see movies, we hear stories from our parents and the grandparents, but the Cold War was a very dark time, and some people had to pull off some really dark moves to be able to survive. And this is an account of that in a very brilliant fashion. And what makes it even more dark is the fact that it was based on a true account. So definitely check that out, The Courier.
So I guess my second one is actually Cruella, because I didn't expect it to be, but I love that movie, and I'm not ashamed to say it. because you expect that to be just another villain origin story, but it's actually a lot more. I watched it and it surprised me a lot. It was so great, and as always, Emma Stone gives such a brilliant performance. She is incredible. And if I had to use one word to describe the movie, it would be, I guess, spectacular. Definitely, it's spectacular, and it has so many plot twists. It keeps you guessing throughout, and then just as you think something is about to happen, something different happens. It's beautiful, really. The true story of Cruella's origins, and without giving away too much, it's like they they beautifully tell you the story of Cruella's origins, while also they show you who she truly is. And I don't want to say too much because there's so much there. There's so many plot twists there that I really don't want to give it away. But it's basically about a young girl who's underappreciated in life, and her one dream is to become a fashion designer, to be known by the world. And that's what she does. And I must say, I did think Cruella was actually better than Maleficent in
Okay.
terms of origin stories. I
All
do.
right.
What do you think?
Interesting. I haven't seen it yet, but
It's just it's
yeah.
just I don't know, it's just my opinion, but like in terms of origin stories, I do think it's better than Maleficent because it had so much more deep rooted meaning to it, and it was so beautiful, like family wise and story wise. And I mean, Maleficent is beautiful on a whole other level. It has the whole the fairy world, and the magic and all of it. But this is more human, so I guess it's two different levels. But I do love Cruella, and it was definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. And another amazing performance was Emma Thompson. Oh wow, she was incredible. Her character in this was unrecognizable. And trust me, it was definitely unrecognizable because for a few minutes I was like, oh my god, that's Emma Thompson. So yeah, I have to recommend Cruella to anyone out there because it was amazing. It's a wonderful family film as well as just a general feel good movie. So yeah, Vasant, Nuan, you guys definitely need to watch it. Trust me.
Yeah. I mean, two things. One, I didn't expect Emma Thompson to pull it off either. I mean, given the role, she's a very versatile actor. There's no question about it. But all I think about when I hear the word Cruella de Vil is, oh, that horrible woman who wanted to, kill puppies.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. You
Right?
go into this thinking this is going to be an evil, evil person, but you come out of the movie feeling for Cruella. So you can imagine what this movie does to you, which is
Yeah.
why you need to see it. So yeah.
And the fact that you said it's better than Maleficent. I mean, Maleficent, again, another movie I didn't really think would carry, especially because I'm not that big into. I mean, now, not like when we were kids, but now I'm not that much into fairy tales. But the fact that Angelina Jolie pulled off such a brilliant
Oh,
role in
yeah.
that movie, it was
Okay, I wouldn't compare performances, but for me, story-wise, I liked Cruella more. But performance-wise, we'll see. We'll have to see.
okay,
You have to watch it.
definitely,
You have to watch it and tell me.
definitely, definitely. All right, Noah.
Okay,
Cool.
Nuan, your third one.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. My third and final pick is Let Him Go, starring Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. This is basically the alternate universe where Jonathan and Martha Kent didn't find Superman. Uh, just kidding. That's not what it is. But they are a married couple in this one as well.
Right.
So what happens is their son has died. This happens very early. It's not a spoiler. Son has died, and their daughter-in-law is now marrying somebody else. She has a kid as well, and this new guy is sort of an abusive person. He's not good. So, and he has taken the daughter-in-law and the kid, their grandson, to his family where they live. So the Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, their characters are now, they're very concerned. So they travel across the country to go and find that family and try to convince them to let their grandson go. And that's the title of the movie. So they're not exactly kidnapped, but they are living under fear because the husband's family, the new husband's family, they are these really creepy hillbilly type people. So not a good influence on the little kid. So they go and try to get him back. Diane Lane is really badass in this film. She's really cool. Good performance. I think she is the main character. It's really her story because she's the one who really wants to go and find this kid. And she has great chemistry with Kevin Costner. I think it makes sense that they are the Kents. It makes sense. They're really good together. It's really very, very cute to see them interact. You feel like they are really married, like you can tell. And it's really nice to see their interactions. And so they're going and they meet this other family. And the head of that family is this mother figure, right? Leslie Manville plays that character, and she is sort of the main antagonist. So she's like the queen of that family kind of thing. She's really creepy, and there's this amazing dinner sequence where they go to have dinner with this other family. It's really intense because you don't know what's going to happen there. You're like at the edge of your seat. Oh my God, what's going to happen now? It's really cool, and it's not an action film. It's a very slow drama. But there are some intense sequences here and there. And they have this theme of sort of nature versus nurture kind of thing. Because it's all about, the impact, how this kid will be influenced by this other family, because they're really concerned how he will end up if he lives there. And there's even like a little subplot involving this Native American kid that they meet on the way. And you think, oh, it's a side thing. But finally, towards the end, that comes around and kind of connects itself to the main story. And I was like, wow, I'm impressed by what they did. So it's a really good film about family and things like that. And it doesn't have Vin Diesel in it, even though, it's about family. Really cool film. Yeah, really good. Good performances. Beautifully directed, and it's the cinematography is really good. Yeah, so it's definitely a recommendation from me. And the director, you guys might be interested in finding out this little piece of trivia. The director's name is Thomas Bezuka, and he is going to direct a few episodes of Secret Invasion. So
nice.
I thought that's very encouraging because I just watched a movie that I really liked. Okay, so this guy is going to direct some episodes. That's good news for me. Yeah, so that's my third and final recommendation. Yeah, watch that movie.
Nice. Well, I'm going to cheat, kind of. Right? This I really had to scratch my head to decide and really struggle to decide between the two. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell you 2 movies for my last pick instead of trying to choose between the 2.
Okay.
So the first one, and mind you, both of these are versus movies. So that's what's interesting. So the first one is something I'm pretty sure everyone has watched, and I'm sure you could watch it again and again and again. And it's Godzilla versus Kong. Now, brilliant film in many aspects. It was everything all of us were waiting for this. This showdown and expecting the showdown. We were rewarded in every sense except the story. Zero story. I mean, brilliant casting, right? You had Alexander Skarsgård, you had Rebecca Hall, Millie Bobby Brown reprising her role again. You had a bunch of other actors. Kyle Chandler's back again. Lance Riddick, I felt like he wasn't really utilized in that movie at all properly.
He was in it?
Yeah, exactly. Right? And without spoiling too much, there's a basically a revenge plot baked into the thing which made no sense whatsoever. But you don't watch Godzilla movies to make sense. If you watch Godzilla movies to make sense, I'm sorry, that's like literally the worst way of trying to enjoy Godzilla movie. I mean, all the Toho movies made zero sense, but people loved them.
Except the first one. I think the first one made sense.
You know what, the American one or
the very first original 1950s
the Toho
first
movie?
one.
Yeah, but I don't know. Probably for me, it took about 2 or 3 viewings to then really grasp the horror, right? And to be honest, actually, Japanese films are proper, especially the recent ones are properly scary. You feel the sense of, dread and this thing. You don't, because Hollywood has a tendency of, over exaggerating things to a point where you're like, your brain is now numb. But anyways, what I did enjoy was the fights. What I did enjoy the Titans going at each other. What I did enjoy were the twists, the little twists that came towards the end. And you just, as a power film, brilliant. I mean, that's as I said, you'll probably go back, one day you'll be like, in the middle of the lockdown, you're like, man, I need something to just charge me up. So you'd probably watch Avengers or Batman versus Superman or, something else. Or you'll just watch Godzilla versus Kong and just get your, get that energy going. The other one is a versus film, but not in the same sense at all. And it's a lovely science fiction animated film by the name of The Mitchells versus the Machines. Brilliant film, a really good, pick me up to, if you're feeling down and you want something to, make you happy and laugh and just take you across. As an animated film, it's brilliant, especially the way it deals with all the weird, things that we've, associated now, that we associate now with the social media generation. It takes all, the nuances, it takes everything on, that social media and modern day living is, especially young people, Gen Z, I think they're called, or no, sorry. Gen Z or Gen
millennials. Millennials.
No, Gen Z.
That thing has gone somewhere else, but it takes all those things, right? All those tropes, all the things that that young people today are dealing with, and it takes them into account in this film. So you have social media playing a huge role right throughout the film. You have like, without spoiling, it's hard not to spoil when you're doing reviews, but hey, we're trying. And it's basically, there's a whole mock-up of Facebook, and it's like, taking the Mickey out of both Elon Musk and
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg and from the other, tech startup. The tech bigwigs. And how it continues and goes on is brilliant. How it ends, comes to a conclusion, is also really funny. The twist you'll find out as you watch the film, which is right in the beginning. The twist is right at the beginning, and it's very funny. And it has a really good casting. It includes you've got John Legend and his wife Chrissy Teigen. You've got Olivia Colman, Eric Andre, Maya Rudolph, Danny McBride, Conan O'Brien. Animated films are known for having massive casts because you don't get to see their faces and they do it remotely. But this is really, this cast clicks into place brilliantly. And, for a totally unexpected Netflix film, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It came at the right time because I think it was the end of April. And this is when, things are getting even more dark and we're getting ready for lockdown and all of that. And it was on Netflix suddenly. I put it on and I'm telling you, it was 1.5 hours, almost 2 hours, that I did not regret. Proper enjoyment for the entire family, because the last 2 recommendations I gave, definitely more adult oriented. This one's definite enjoyment for the entire family and gets my complete recommendation, The Mitchells versus the Machines.
And now that you mention it, that was actually sort of my fourth pick. If there was one, it probably would have been that movie. I really enjoyed it. And we are talking about movies, and that movie is sort of about making movies, right? This main character, somebody who wants to be a director. So that's really wonderful. Yeah. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was
Godzilla
like a
versus Kong, not
perfect.
so much. But we'll talk about that some other time.
My final pick is actually my favorite pick. And I have been recommending this to so many people that I've actually put it on so many pen drives and given it to them to watch. So my final pick is Cherry, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, starring Tom Holland. And I must say, this was one of the best films I've seen so far this year. And in my opinion, this was probably Tom Holland's best performance so far. I mean, what was great about this movie is that it's not just one genre. We see multiple genres in one movie. So basically, it's the story of this young man, this young disenfranchised young man. So he, as always, just he falls in love. Right, that's the story. And then he goes off to war. He comes back and he has PTSD, and that leads to a series of misadventures, a series of poor choices, and a lot of very interesting events. I don't want to say more, but let's just say, like I said, there's a lot of different genres. So there's war, there's drama, there's crime, there's thriller. So there's all of that mixed in one movie. And Tom Holland plays all of that perfectly, which is why I think this was his best work so far. And Anthony and Joe Russo have done such a brilliant job of directing this movie and directing Tom. It was honestly one of my favorite movies this year. Favorite non Marvel, non DC movie, I would have to say. And if anyone out there has not watched it, I would definitely recommend it, because the way Holland portrays every single thing that this character Cherry goes through, it's so realistic. It makes you feel for the character so much more. So if you haven't watched it, you should, because it's not just a movie. I mean, it feels like you're going, or like you're being taken on this journey, like this completely incredible journey from one phase of his life to another, to another, to another. And Tom Holland is just telling each phase of it just incredibly. So I love that movie. I mean, I sunk into that movie, and I just like, when I came out, I was like, wow, whatever I just watched, that was wow. So yeah, that is one movie that I would have to say has hit me really hard this year, and that was my favorite, definitely.
Yeah, there's something interesting about Cherry among other movies that the Russos did post Avengers, and that is that you see the close relationship the Russo brothers have had with the cast members from Avengers,
Mhm.
that they've started picking them out for different movies
Projects.
that they're either doing themselves, which was the case in Cherry, or they're producing. So you had the Grey Man that's coming up. You're going to have Chris Evans going against Ryan Gosling. That's going to be interesting. It's a sci-fi thriller that's coming up, and not sci-fi, beg your pardon. It's an action thriller that's coming up. And then you had Extraction way back in April last year with Chris
That was
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. Yes,
Yes, Chris
Chris Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Then you had, like you said, Cherry was there. Then you had 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman. Uh, and it's interesting that, there are a lot of other projects that I haven't announced as yet, but I kind of know about, where they're tapping into those relationships they've built up in, the MCU, especially with Avengers and Civil War. And I love seeing that you said Tom Holland. The first thing when I heard about Tom Holland acting in this movie, and I saw the first picture, I was like, "Wow, okay, this is going to be interesting." And then when I watched Cherry, because in your mind, you're always thinking Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man. You can't think about Tom Holland playing any other role but Peter Parker, right? Cherry was like, wow. It was
Yeah,
like a
you watch that movie and you're like, what? Where is Spider-Man? This is not Spider-Man.
yes,
Exactly. Like
it's so mature, right? And Cherry, and there was another film that Tom Holland was in that also.
The devil all the time, I think.
Exactly. These two films really have brought out Tom Holland's performance to a whole different level. You don't see everybody jokes about Tom Holland being, the kid in the whole group. The guy cannot control his mouth and spoils everything, and the goofy character. But when you see Cherry and when you see Devil all the time, you'll have a whole new appreciation of Tom Holland as an actor, and which is why I was skeptical about him being playing the main role in Uncharted. But I still am a little bit apprehensive because Uncharted, in my mind, there was only one actor, and that was Nathan Fillion, right? Nathan Fillion was it, and I didn't expect them to suddenly make, when they announced Tom Holland taking up the role, I was like, wait, why are they making him so young? No, but now after seeing Cherry, and after seeing Devil all the time, I have faith in whatever they're going to do with the Uncharted franchise. It's going to be interesting, but I have faith now. And Tom Holland has proven himself beautifully.
And you guys talked about
Definitely.
now how much he has changed, right? And he actually, I think he actually said that it's gonna be a little weird for him when he goes back to Spider-Man and he has to play the kid again, because he said he had to go back into that high-pitched kind of voice and that excited kind of quality about him. It's gonna be different for him. So let's see what he does next year.
Yes. But I think he's just, improving his range, which is
Hmm.
actually really great. And hopefully we see him in more roles in the future like that. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
So that was 10 movies, right?
Yes. Sorry, I had to cheat, but there are a lot of films that
Hmm.
definitely would fall into the category of brilliant films to watch. I mean, if you really want a lot of fun and laughter and no sense again, then Thunder Force, that's running on Netflix. It just came out. Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer. It's really funny. You can really enjoy it. If you're into horror films and you're into that whole Conjuring franchise, oh my God, I don't know how long that's going to continue. Well, guess what?
As long as they
There's a
keep
new,
making money, awesome.
yes, yes. Well, they've got a new scare. I mean, they've got a new installment in it, and the devil made me do it. And of course, Justice League, Zack Snyder's vision of it, and also Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I'm not a big fan of the film, but it was interesting. It was interesting to see the post DCU vision that Zack Snyder has, and there were so many other brilliant movies that unfortunately, because of lack of cinema and all of that, have gone into obscurity. So I would suggest to take a few minutes, go online, and find the movies that have come since lockdowns. Since I would say you go as far back as November last year, and you'll find some really good movies out there that won't have the snares and the highlights, all the trailers and all of that, but
Hmm.
have some really good stories. And it's very unfortunate that we're going through what we are going through right now. But it's what it is. It's a new normal, and you've got to adapt. So movies just know that's a brilliant thing. Somehow the industry has come together, and they are putting out movies one after the other, and we have to be very grateful to the crews, the actors, directors, everybody who's risking. It's their livelihoods, yes, but it's also risk, and they get down and they still continue doing it and keeping us entertained. So yeah,
So, guys, those were our top 10 movies of 2021 so far. So, thank you so much, Vasant and Nuan. Uh, So, guys, please stay tuned for more of the Hollywood Connection with Shami, and we will definitely be back with lots more geekiness. Right, guys?
Yep.
All right.
See you guys next time.
See you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
See you.